Friends, the experiment continues. I decided we're going to do cocktails with Imva. I've got my basic B drink because I don't enjoy the taste of liquor. That's not. So I'm rolling with some Mike's Hard Lemonade, a little White Claw, a little fancy. And it's fine. So one thing that's been on my mind that I wanted to kind of address. I've written about this a bazillion times on the subreddit. But basically the idea that you cannot use healthy relationship tools in an abusive dynamic. You cannot use communication tools in an abuse dynamic. All doing that does is expose you to the person who's trying to power over you at your expense for their own benefit. So, to be fair, there's this like twilight period. I'd have to look at the official cycle of abuse. But there's this period after the honeymoon period where the target of the abuse kind of starts to realize like, oh no, this isn't right. How can I fix this? What am I doing wrong? How can I make it better? You know, and we go to our man. I'm not trying to hate on Oprah, but I feel like I remember so much of this stuff being like a result of her programming. And so, you know, like amazing, in-depth, awesome things, but you know, everybody's kind of dealing with their own stuff. So if you're in an abuse dynamic and you go, oh, I know, I'll acknowledge, I'll take responsibility for my part in this. And I will discuss this with my partner. And they'll take they'll take responsibility for their part in this. So you go to them and you say, I'm so sorry for XYZ things that I did. I never wanted to hurt you. And then you kind of like, you've left that invitation there for them to meet you. And what happened? They might say something, but they will never, ever, 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 ever let go. Whatever it is you admitted. So this was a thing that showed up, oh boy, consistently in my relationship with my recent abusive ex. He actually specifically told me that he needs to hear the words that I admit that I'm wrong. And that the fact that I felt like I didn't want to do that was indicative of the fact that I couldn't admit I was wrong. Which is weird because literally in my work relationships, in my situation as a parent, even in my last relationship before him, you know, so easy to go, oh man, yeah, I was wrong. But there was something in me that was super resistant. And I finally recognized, like, I don't feel safe. Don't feel safe admitting I was wrong. Also, what a terrible relationship paradigm to have. That's like a very abuse, control-oriented, like, I need you to admit you're wrong. Like, he needed that. Like, it wasn't enough to say, oh, can you please do this thing? You know, I'd really appreciate it. Like, he needed me to admit that I was wrong. There was no possibility in his mind that there could be a, let's say, difference of opinion. My favorite example of that is when one time we weren't together. And I've mentioned this in comments before, but one time we weren't together and I was having trouble sleeping because, you know, I missed him so much. And I'd be awake at 2 a.m. and I couldn't go back to sleep. It'd be hours. Finally, I thought to myself, like, what am I doing? I could be doing something. I'm going to go for a walk. Feeling really, like, empowered. Like, that's a healthy thing. I'm going to go on the walk. It's going to be, you know, nice and cool and like, in the nighttime. And I'm going to feel the wind. And I'm going to find this, like, center. And he finds out, like, one of the times we got back together. He finds out about these walks. And he is like, how could you do something so dangerous? I'm thinking, dangerous? I live in like a really bougie area of my town. Like, there's no crime. What are you talking about, danger? I couldn't. I was just like, I don't. That's, the other thing too is like, I'm from a very large city in the United States, and I'm a lady. I've had to deal with assessing my own personal safety for my entire life. And the fact that he wouldn't just, trust me, like, no, I feel very comfortable and confident that I am safe. So I walk in my super bougie neighborhood where nothing happens. So his perspective was that, like, I would not admit that I was wrong, that I would not accept that it wasn't safe, that I was not accepting reality. This very black and white perspective on things that didn't allow for different perspectives, and acknowledgement that my experience is different, that I'm a different person, and that I get to determine my own level of like comfortability. It's one thing if you're with a partner and you say to them, hey, I know you feel comfortable, but I would really appreciate if you didn't, do this. Could you please not go on an adventure at 2 a.m.? Which also was unlikely because he was there with me. So if he's there with me, either I'm like happy or we're having a fight and I'm not going anywhere. So I kind of recognize like he literally can conceptualize that my experience, my analysis, that my background and history could be valid. He just absolutely like, no, you are wrong. You're not admitting you're wrong. You're not accepting reality. So this has kind of become a bellwether for me. If you are dealing with a person who is so insistent that they are right, and you have to accept, if you don't acknowledge, like, oh my God, even the language of that, it makes me feel like I'm ill in my body just saying it. Admit you're wrong. Like, this isn't a court of law. I know attorneys. Attorneys don't even speak to their partners that way. Admit you're wrong. What? Anyway, so if it's so easy to get caught up because you're like, oh man, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's dangerous. And, and then for me, we'd break up and I'd like feel such a relief. I could come on my walks again. I'm really enjoying them. They're wonderful. I feel like there is a shift at some point in an abusive relationship where you start to recognize, like, oh, I'm living my best life without this person. I'm someone I like better when I'm not with them. And as much as I may miss or love them, it's okay. It's okay for me to recognize, like, this maybe not be my best option. Anyway, so that's been Cocktails with Inva. I hope you guys have an amazing Friday night. I cleaned up. I shouldn't say cleaned up. So it wasn't messy, but I just had clothes everywhere. I did some laundry. I did some, in the dishwasher. I did dishes, cleaned my stove. So hopefully if you are feeling productive and you want to be smug about that, I support you there. And if you are feeling like, no, I want to feel like I don't need to be productive, I'll be productive later. Yeah, you do you. We are all here to determine our own experience. And go on walks at 2 a.m. if we should so choose. Anyway, I'll talk to you next time. Bye.